So, Arsenal get a 1-0 win away at Craven Cottage in match week 8 of the Premier League to put us 3 points clear at the top of the Premier League table and secure a top spot for another week, regardless of the result between Liverpool and Manchester United. Great result. Excellent result. You know, Craven Cottage is a fixture that we have notoriously struggled with. You know, going away to Fulham, they're a team that, they're really difficult to break down. They're managed excellently by Marco Silva. Last 2 seasons, we were unable to get a win. Neither game were particularly good performances. And neither was this game, honestly. I'm going to be completely honest. I didn't think Arsenal were amazing. I didn't think we were great. You know, did we deserve the win? I'd say we probably did. But we really weren't. We weren't incredible. We didn't put in this incredible, amazing performance that shows we're the best team in the world or anything like that. But it's a good win nonetheless. We've got the game here. I guess there's no better place to start really than the lineup. I was pretty happy with the team that Arteta went with. I thought that, you know, there was a little bit of conversation or what I don't know what that is. Random notification. There's a little bit of, you know, debate, or I guess it was a topic of discussion whether or not Arteta would bring Marino in to the midfield, play it with Rice and Zubimendi, that midfield that we all hate. I didn't think he was going to do it because Craven Cottage isn't really a game that you'd expect him to set up like that. You know, Fulham away, it's a game that we're probably going to be in a lot of control regardless. It's not like a City and a Liverpool where, you know, they're against potential title threats. So I wasn't really expecting him to go with it. And I'm pretty happy with the selections he went with, you know. Also, there was discussion, will he rotate Rice or Zubimendi out of the team, considering that we've just come back from an international break. But I thought, you know, this fixture required pretty much our full strength team, and that's what he went with. You know, he went with pretty much all the best players that were available. The only one I wasn't too sure about was Leandro Trossard left wing. I would have probably rather Martinelli because I'm not the biggest fan of Trossard when he starts games. However, to be fair to him, he got on the score sheet. And then if you look at Fulham's 11, I mean, they did have some players missing. If you go to the injury list, you know, no Anthony Robinson, no Lukic, no Rodrigo Muniz, no Chukwueze. So they were missing players. However, this is still a relatively strong team. They did get hit with injuries during this game. You know, Anderson went off before halftime, and then Kearney went off, their captain. So, I mean, look, Fulham, they're a decent side. They're a very decent team. That was a decent 11. But they are a team that we should be beating, and we did get the job done. But I guess we can now talk a bit more about the performance. As I said, I didn't think we were great, and it was very, very evident in the first sort of, I'd say, maybe 15, 20 minutes. Because the way we started that game, that period, was the worst we played by far. And I think most of it started with the midfield. I'm not saying that Arteta got it wrong. I didn't think there was an issue with balance. I just thought the 3 of them were all off it early. It took them a while to sort of get into the game. Eze overall, I'd say, was probably our worst player out of the starters. He didn't really get involved a whole lot. He looked off it. He was making a couple of mistakes. It just wasn't his game. Zubimendi and Rice also were not good early. I think they both improved, but Rice was giving away the ball cheaply. Zubimendi wasn't really able to have an impact in, you know, progressing the ball in the way that we'd hope. And overall, we just really weren't able to get a foothold in the game. Like, if you check a look at these stats in the first half, you know, we did have 8 shots to 6 with the 1 shot on target, but, I mean, you look at where these shots are from, only the 0.58 XG. I'm not a massive XG guy, but we weren't really able to create a whole lot of proper chances. I mean, you know, that was from a corner. That was a half chance. and then a lot of these are pot shots. I think the best opportunity we had early in that game was the offside goal from Calafiore. I don't think it'll show when it was because it wasn't initially given as a goal. You know, they don't show it, but it was early in the game. I can't remember who played it, but someone played a great ball over to Trossard, who then does well to cut it back to Calafiore, and he finishes sublimely. Like, that was a quality finish. He took that perfectly. However, the goal was disallowed as Trossard was offside, and Calafiore, in that first 20 minutes before we were starting to get going, he was the only player that was impacting the final third at all. You know, he was taking a couple of shots. He wasn't, you know, Kevin De Bruyne or anything, but he was the only one that was getting forward and actually trying to take the game on. I do think, you know, later in the first half we did improve. That was when we got this opportunity to I think was it this one? No, it was this one. This opportunity, Gyökeres, our only shot on target. I will talk about Gyökeres, but I want to mainly talk about Bukayo Saka because he was easily the man of the match today. You know, you could maybe argue Saliba, I thought, had a good game as well. But Bukayo Saka, everything went through him. Every attack, every genuine attack went through Saka. You know, these ratings are often pretty bad, but I think it's done him justice here. You know, no goals or assists, still gets an 8.5 for a winger. That's actually quite difficult to do. And it's because he completed 6 dribbles, created 6 chances, was the most fouled player 5 times, won 14 duels, and won man of the match. Crazy performance. I think he led all these stats, and he was sublime. He was really sublime. He was creating everything. And funnily enough, while Arsenal do typically struggle in this fixture, it is a fixture that Saka notoriously excels in. You know, if you check the head-to-head, he was very good in this game. He would have won it if Martinelli wasn't offside. He scored in this game, and I think he scored in this game, didn't he? He didn't. Okay, no, he didn't have a great game there, but yeah, I mean, he does like playing Fulham. He scored at home against them last season as well. His first game back from injury, and yeah, I mean, he was the clear man of the match. He played a brilliant outside ball to Gyökeres. These are the kind of passes we want to see Gyökeres getting. But I will talk about Gyökeres when we sort of get to the second half, because that's when he had a bit more of an involvement. But yeah, first half, I mean, we weren't particularly great. It did even out a little bit, and that was when Fulham had their chances. You know, that first half, if you look at the difference, they had 6 shots, 0.31 XG, to only 3 shots, 0.13 XG. Like, they really didn't create anything in the second half. Any opportunity that they had to score was in the first half. They didn't have, you know, clear-cut chances. I mean, was it the Harry Wilson effort? Harry Wilson had a couple of shots that he probably should have done a little bit better with. Maybe on another day he scores, but I didn't think Fulham really deserved a goal, if I'm being honest. That's why, you know, maybe you could argue that Fulham defended well enough to deserve a point. However, I think we created enough chances to win this game off the balance of play. And, I mean, yeah, I do think we were deserving of this win. Second half was a lot better, I would say. We had less of the ball, but we were creating more chances. You know, 8 shots, 4 shots on target, 3 big chances. That was really when we were starting to create more opportunities. And Gyökeres frustrated me massively in this game. Like, I'll sort of go through the team player by player, and I'll do some player ratings. But Gyökeres' performance, I mean, it's frustrating in the sense of we're starting to see the things that we criticised him for improve. Like, earlier when he first played his first couple of games, he wasn't able to get involved at all. He wasn't able to influence the game in any way. You know, he was losing the ball every time he got it. Whereas over the last sort of few games, his link-up play, his overall play has been getting better. You know, he's been occupying defenders. He's been battling his way. You can't question the guy's work rate. You know, he wants to score so badly. He just hadn't been getting the service. And then he finally gets some genuine service mostly from Saka, and he scuffs it. Like this one I think was the best chance. You know, as I mentioned, those are the kind of balls you want. You want Gyökeres to get. You know, Saka on the outside, cutting in and then playing the outside ball to Gyökeres, which he's able to run onto after drifting out wide. And you know, it's a decent save from Leno, but he really doesn't. He puts a lot of power on it, doesn't place it well. And then this chance was terrible. This chance was absolutely woeful. He gets given the ball, he mishits it very poorly, sends it over the bar. Really not great. That's another chance that you expect him to at least get on target. And then this one was pretty similar to the first one. I mean, good save from Leno, but really didn't put pressure on him at all. So, yeah, frustrating from Gyökeres. I really wanted him to get on the score sheet today, and I think he should have. He really should have. Like, there hasn't been many games where I've said, you know, Gyökeres hasn't been able to get on the score sheet despite the fact that he was given a lot of service. I think this is definitely the best, despite the fact that I didn't think it was a great performance. In terms of supplying him, I think we did a lot better than we've done in pretty much any other game. And then we get to the goal. I mean, 60th minute or 58th minute, corner, of course. That's just what Arsenal do. You know, 1-0 to the Arsenal. Set piece again, ole ole. We know how it goes. Saka whips a ball in. Gabriel doesn't look like he's confident enough to head it in, so he flicks it on to the back post where Trossard scores off his knee. And Trossard wasn't good. I didn't think Trossard had a particularly good game, but he just despite the fact that I'm not a huge fan of him when he starts games, despite the fact that I don't think he offers a whole lot in his overall game. You know, he doesn't have much pace. He's not a particularly flary player. He's not a guy that offers that X factor that can genuinely take on his fullback and create for Arsenal. However, he gets in those goal-scoring positions a lot. You know, we can't question his goal scoring. You know, he's there. He scores big goals. You know, he's scored in big away games that we've struggled in. You know, our only win at Goodison Park in ages, he scored the winning goal in that game. You know, even though we got knocked out, he scored an equaliser against Bayern. If we didn't draw that, if we lost that home tie, there would have been absolutely no chance. Even though we did lose the second leg anyway. Even Bilbao scored a sealer, assisted the first goal. Like, he gets involved. You know, he gets involved. And Liverpool as well, a couple seasons ago. So look, not the greatest performance. I think Martinelli probably did a little bit more when he came on. Didn't do a whole lot. None of the subs really did anything. This wasn't a game that required a whole lot of subs. However, I would have liked to see Ethan Ranieri on. I think Trossard was struggling, so even maybe after the goal, or probably before it, they could have potentially moved Eze out to the left. He wasn't handling that midfield well. Just wasn't really his day. Maybe move him out to the left wing, bring Ranieri on in the 10. I would have liked to see that. I'm getting worried with Ranieri. Like, the guy just doesn't get minutes. I think he's massively fallen out of favour, I guess. I don't know what's the best way to describe it, but he's not really favoured by Mikel Arteta anymore. You know, he was a player that I was expecting to get a lot more minutes than last season, become a proper squad player in a way that Ranieri wasn't really last season. But it seems like Arteta just doesn't really trust him, and I'm not really sure why. This is a game that his sort of, I don't know, his directness, his ability to take the game on, to drop a shoulder, to take a shot that no one else is really going to take. I think that could have been very serviceable in this game. It could be a quality impact sub for us, but wasn't really used in any way. And then bringing Eze off when he did was weird. I would have put Eze on the left, and then Marino on. Literally right after we scored, I was just like, yeah, okay, this is going to be a stressful end to the game. And it really wasn't, because I was quite disappointed from Fulham in the last 30 minutes. You know, people are going to talk about the way that they defended. But when they were chasing the game, they were not able to create anything. Like, they were literally unable to do shit. I didn't see Max King. I didn't see Josh King once this game. Genuinely, like, he had zero impact. Raul Jimenez was absolutely manhandled by Gabriel and Saliba. And I mean, this defense, bro. This defense is another level. Only 3 goals conceded in the Premier League after 8 games, and that includes all competitions. 3 goals conceded. That is absolutely mental. I also saw a stat, the last time Arsenal went back-to-back Premier League games without conceding a single shot on target was in 03-04 when we were invincible. So, I mean, those are promising signs. Look, the thing with Arsenal is, I think the lack of proven quality in attack that we still have, because whilst I do rate the Gyökeres signing, I rate the Eze signing, we haven't seen them actually deliver for Arsenal in a big way yet. So whilst we don't have that proven attacking quality still, it has gotten better. The defence raises our floor so highly that, you know, even if we're not playing well, we can nick a goal from a corner. We can, you know, maybe in a certain game, like, I'm trying to think of an example. I can't really think of any, to be honest, where maybe there's the other team makes a mistake or we score a goal that we don't really deserve, even if it's not from a set piece. You know, that our defence gives us a platform that could be enough. That, you know, we're not, outside of big games, we're probably not going to concede 2 goals to anyone. You know, it's going to be extremely unlikely that we're going to concede 2 goals to any team outside the top 4. So really, we only have to score a goal or 2 to get a win. And look, I'm still not fully convinced that this team's good enough to win the title. You know, this is a big win in terms of the Premier League title race, because I'll briefly touch on Liverpool and Man City and all that at the end. But this is a big result because another stat I saw, if you compare the fixtures we've had this season, the 7 games, because Leeds went in the Premier League last season, we beat all the newly promoted teams home and away anyway last season, all the relegated teams, I should say. So, I mean, it's pretty much the same. But if excluding that Leeds game, out of all the teams that were in the Premier League last season, we are 7 points better off this season than we were in those equivalent fixtures last season. You know, the big games have actually gotten worse. You know, we drew at Anfield last season, we lost. Beat City at home this last season, we lost. However, West Ham at home, Fulham away, Newcastle away, and United away were all games we failed to win last season, and we won all of them. So I think that is a big positive for this Arsenal team. We're starting to defeat our demons. You know, the bogey fixtures are getting conquered, and I hope that continues, because we have Palace soon, and actually, no, we do have a good record against Palace, to be honest. It was just that game in the Emirates that pissed me off. Yeah, I guess we can get to player ratings now, so I can go a little bit more in depth. I've got no one cares. I've got this lineup builder here where you can do the player rating. So I guess we'll start with David Raya. I mean, didn't have to make a save. There was that one instance where he got lobbed by, I think it was Josh King, and he had to tip it over the bar, but that didn't count as a save. So, I mean, I'll give him a 6, just because didn't have to do anything, really. That was the only moment I didn't see him. I didn't see him at all. Right back, Urian Timber. I hate this view, by the way. Can I change it? I don't use this app, bro. So like, oh, here we go. Flip players. That's way better. I guess we'll go with that. Timber, I thought, was an 8. I mean, completely locked up that right-hand side. In my opinion, defensively, he is the best right back in the league. You know, I personally think Reece James is a better overall, well-rounded player than Timber, but from a purely 1v1 defensive standpoint, I think Timber's the best fullback in the league, and I don't think there's a better right back in Europe. Just looking at right backs, you know, Nuno Mendes aside, I think 1v1 there isn't a better right back in Europe than him. I genuinely don't think there is. Calafiori, I'll give him an 8 as well. You know, he has been a surprise for me. Rarely have I seen him get caught out defensively like I think he has been a victim to. You know, I don't think 1v1 he's particularly good. But this season he's been proving otherwise. He has. He's been massively proving otherwise, and full credit to him, because he's great. And then what he does going forward, I mean, he's a joker. He's literally a joker. You know, like in cards, bro. He's a joker. You don't know where he's going to pop up. You don't know what he's going to do. The guy's everywhere. And look, maybe that comes to bite us in the ass at some point, but it hasn't yet. Saliba, I thought, was probably the better of the two defenders. Gabriel looked very shaky in the first half, but they were both good. I'll give Saliba an 8 as well. You know, not really much to say there. Actually, no. You know what? Shout out my boy. I'm going to give Saliba a 9. I'm going to give Saliba a 9. He didn't do anything wrong. Genuinely didn't do anything wrong. And then Gabriel looked shaky in that first 15 minutes, but got the assist, I guess. Was very good. 8. Oh, no, 7, because he did look shaky, so I'll give him a 7. Midfield, Zubimendi, like pretty much everyone, wasn't good early, but massively improved later in the game. So I'll give him a 7. He did get a lot better in the second half. Rice was the same. I think Rice gets a 7 as well. Based off the second half, I thought he was actually probably among the best players on the pitch in the second half. He just was terrible in the first half, so I'll give him a 7 as well. Then we get to Saka. Oh my. Bukayo Saka. If you do not rate this player, you do not know ball. If you do not think this player is a world-class winger, if you do not think he is a top... No, I won't say that. If you don't think he's a world-class winger, if you don't think he can be in the discussions with the Vinicius Juniors, with the Rodrigos, with the Kvaratskhelia, with the Rafinhas, with these players, if you don't think he's in those discussions, I don't think you know ball. He gets a 9. He was man of the match. And you know what? No, that makes me think Saliba's an 8, because Saka was easily the best player on the pitch. So you know what? I'm not going to glaze him too heavily. I'll give Saliba an 8. And the man of the match, obviously Saka was captain. Man of the match was Saka. Phenomenal. Eze, as I said before, his worst game in an Arsenal shirt. Didn't really impact the game much. Whilst I didn't agree with the decision, I think he probably did deserve to get hooked. So I'll give him a 5. Just a bang average performance. Like, didn't really do anything. Wasn't awful, but didn't really do anything. And then Trossard, I would have given him like a 4, but I have to respect the winning goal from Leo. So you get a 7, but you're on fraud watch as always. And then Gyökeres, I mean, his overall play was still decent, but he had to take those chances. So I'm gonna give him a 5. He had to score. I'm gonna give him a 5. If we don't score that goal from a corner and we draw that game 0-0, I look at Victor Gyökeres and say that was a game that you had to deliver, and he didn't. So yeah, I mean, look, it's a big win, as I mentioned before. You know, away at Fulham, it's a fixture that we struggle in. But we take those wins. We take those wins even though we didn't play particularly well. We take those wins because if we look at the Premier League table, as I mentioned, we are 3 points clear at the top. Liverpool win only 1 point, but we are secured top of the Premier League. After Palace, you know, Palace are pretty much the only difficult fixture we have in a very favourable run in the Premier League. You know, after Palace, we've got Burnley away, Sunderland away before that dreaded Tottenham at home, but, you know, Brighton at home in the Cup, Atletico Madrid at home. These are fixtures that we probably should be winning. All these games are fixtures I'm expecting us to win. You know, that Atleti game's a big, tough game, but we're at home. We should be winning that. You know, I want the Emirates to be a fortress. And then if you look at City and Liverpool's upcoming fixtures, you know, City have Villa away next in the Premier League. Liverpool after Man United, I think, of Brentford away. But they play each other soon. So if we can just keep getting wins and Liverpool and City drop points, we could potentially mount a sizable gap when we haven't even been that good. And I think that's huge. Because Liverpool last season ran away with the league at Christmas. And I'm not saying we're going to do that. But if there's any way to win your first league title, it's by... Oh, my phone, bro. So many messages. It's by mounting a sizable gap and not getting caught. Because when you like that experience, you don't want to be in a dogfight because you might not win. I didn't talk about the other Premier League fixtures, so I guess we could just briefly mention them. You know, Postecoglou got sacked 15 minutes after losing to Chelsea. Fully deserved. Shortest managerial tenure in Premier League history, 39 days. They didn't win. He fully deserves the sack. I watched that game. They weren't actually that bad, but overall they have been. Welbeck, Cook and Newcastle's great. I didn't expect this result at all. I thought Leeds were going to win. Burnley have been very good. I watched this game. Game of the season, bro. Mateta, how did he not? He's got a hat-trick, but then he should have won it. Haaland is a freak. You know, if Arsenal and Liverpool drop too many points, he could carry City to the league title. Sunderland's doing Sunderland things. But then these games, Tottenham at home against Villa, and then Liverpool, Man United, bro. I can't support Man United after that Europa League final, but I guess I kind of have to. And then random night game that no one cares about. So yeah, that's gonna do it for this match reaction, match report. It's becoming a cliche at this point, but I'm gonna try and be more consistent on YouTube or wherever you heard that before. Yeah, man. I'll make a video about the Liverpool game tomorrow. But look, good win. We're top of the league. That's all we care about. What's that? 4 wins on the bounce, I think, following City. 4 wins on the bounce. I think. Is it? 3 wins on the bounce in the Premier League. 5 wins on the bounce in all competitions. We absolutely take that. Considering that, you know, when we drew to City, the title race was over, our season's done. To be 3 points clear at the top of the league, 5 wins in a row. No, not that bad. I don't think it's a complete disaster. But yeah, thank you for watching the video. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. Tomorrow we're also going to come out with the next episode of the Time Zone Derby. We were inactive during the international break because these guys are... There's no consistency with them either. You know, we were supposed to do a preview, but we didn't. So make sure to check out the Time Zone Derby. Not tomorrow, on Tuesday, because we'll be recapping all the games on the weekend. And yeah, make sure to like the video, subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.